Morning, folks. Today's shaving cream is brought to us by Taylor Bond Street. This one here has a coconut scent to it, and it's pretty nice whipping up. This one here that I got come with another seal, another lid on the inside, and that's what it looks like on the inside. And it is pretty soft, easy to scoop out, whip up the lather. And decided to follow up today with Italian Barber's RazoRock. This is the unlabeled series that they have with the aftershave. It does have a sticker on the back. Got the usual suspects also with the Crown King alum block, complete with rubber band this morning. And going to be sporting the Stirling's witch hazel that's unscented but is mentholated. It's going to have a nice cooling effect this morning. Got plenty of lather for 2, 3, 4 shaves. I mean, I've got quite a bit of lather, and it is on the wet, drippy side. This was whipped up with a brush from Metalworks. Whipped it up in a smooth bottom bowl, and you can see, yes, it is wet and runny. It just run right out of the bowl if you let it. Already put a hot towel to the face this morning. Got a Preshave sitting over here waiting for me. The blade of the day is going to be the Kai Pink, and I have it in this shavette here, Antiga. If you can see the blade in there, it's just, just does come out just enough. Go ahead and get started with the Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements Ice Cube here. Had a pretty good time this weekend. Saturday was the football game that was on ESPN, and it was a little confusing. It started, you know how ESPN, if you ever watch their channel, sometimes a game will start on one channel because another game was a little bit late finishing up, so they'll put it on another channel, and then when that game finishes up, it goes to the channel that it was originally scheduled to be on. So folks were scrambling trying to figure out what all was going on. But the game went pretty well. Trying to remember the score is something like 50 to 26 or 23 or something of the sort. These teams hadn't had a whole lot of time to practice. I think, if I remember correctly, our team, Broken Arrow team, I think they only had 4 weeks to practice. I think that's all they had. Due to COVID, they kind of restricted how long they could practice. And if I remember right, I think it's 4 weeks. That's how longer they had to practice. Not very much time. I thought they did pretty well. You can kind of tell that the weather was getting to them. In the beginning, it was working out pretty well because the rain was trying to come in. It didn't quite make it to us. It just sprinkled just a little bit, just enough to get you concerned, but then it went away. But the temperature was cool. It felt good. It was really nice at that point in time. But then the clouds went away, the sun came out, and everybody started cooking. It got warm. And you could tell the kids were, kind of struggling with that humidity and the heat index and whatnot. And a number of them were, getting cramps and whatnot. It is kind of hard sometimes to get the youngins to understand that you really got to hydrate well in advance for a game that's going to be played in weather that's going to be high humidity and the heat. And I know originally, before they started forecasting the rain coming in, that the heat index should be around 105 around game time. That was, before they figured there might be some rain coming in. It's going to be warm. Go ahead and get started here. Oh, I should say, didn't shave on Sunday, so I got about 2 days worth of growth. But like I said, I thought the game went fairly well. It was hot. Tempers did flare from time to time, but overall they They kept things in check. I think there was only 3 personal fouls, I think. And one of them was just that the first one that took place is the player just got carried away from the other team. It was not, in other words, it wasn't intentional. It's that the play just carried on just a little bit longer than the whistle. And, of course, that created a foul. Sounds like Tony is having fun this morning. But it was a good time at the game. And the
I was wondering who was in there.
also what took place was that was my daughter checking on me. The during the game, as it goes for pregame and during halftime, the band came out, put on their show. Which I thought went rather well. They didn't wear their full uniform like you typically see them. They were in shorts and t-shirts. In other words, preparing for the weather. Because it got pretty warm. Just sitting there, it was pretty warm. Of course, there's no, there was no shade. There was none. I mean, you're just right there out in the sun. Like I say, you're cooking.
No, go back. Careful, baby.
They seem like, as it goes for the schedule, seems like they're going to still carry out a fairly full schedule this year, providing everything continues on as expected. And if it did take place, I didn't hear anything about it. And so far, I guess, in other words, everything's going pretty well, that none of the kids are coming up tested with COVID. So things are working well in that direction. Of course, that is of concern when you have kids playing together like that. Like I said, I thought the game went pretty well, because I know they didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare and practice, and both teams did play pretty well. I mean, in other words, they found some weak spots. They sure did. So they had plenty to work on when they got back, because it was something else. Big plays, whether it was a passing play or whether it was just a running play. Good indications that they needed some work. They did have some tents set up on the side, help provide some shade. Say tents, I guess you might call them gazebos, something of the sort. Something to provide some shade. It'll be interesting how the next game goes. We, of course, we have our, I guess you might call them season tickets or reserved seats, at least for the home games. I'm not sure if the wife's going to be up to traveling this year, going to any of the out-of-town games. I don't think we'll end up going. I know last year we did, but of course, when the season finishes up, it's a little cold, and my wife doesn't particularly care for the cold. She prefers the heat. This shaving cream is pretty nice. If you haven't tried Taylor Oil Bond Straight, you gotta pick out your favorite flavor or one you think might be and give it a try. It's pretty good stuff. It whipped up really nice. I mean, this is really spot on as it goes for the wetness, the way I like my lather, because the blade just glides right across the face, even with 2 days worth of growth. I mean, there's something for it to grab a hold of, and it's just sliding right on across the face. And it is wiping off pretty easy. I have a damp towel over here to the side. I've been wiping the shaving cream off on it, help keeping my sink water a little cleaner than normal. Today is Monday, last day of August. In other words, September will start tomorrow with single edge. I figured I'll throw what I throw in single edge, which I consider a single edge. Anyway, single edge as well as some samples. Should make for some pretty interesting shaving, because some of these soap samples, in other words, I've never used some of the soap before, so I'm not real sure how it's going to turn out. Tony and Thor. Tony's our German Shepherd. Thor's our cat, and Thor enjoys instigating, I guess you might say, little spats every once in a while. He likes to play rough. And Tony doesn't have a problem giving Thor what he wants. So they get to wrestling, and my daughter gets a little concerned. But it is funny, because when you talk about fur flying, it's fur from both of them that's flying. And Thor, he just lays there. He whips his tail. He don't get too concerned. He doesn't run away. He just stays and fights. In other words, I'm not leaving. You're gonna have to leave. He's an ornery cat. This is a pretty nice shaver. I really do enjoy using it with this, with a longer blade, if you will. Did a video yesterday, and it was really tough. Get that video. I didn't know it turned out darker than what I'd hoped for it to do. But with the room that I have to work with to set up a camera and whatnot, it was really tough to find a good spot to do this without it casting a shadow. It didn't turn out too terribly bad, but it did seem to be a little bit on the dark side of things. And I used that white background thinking that the light would reflect enough off of it to, create enough light, but it did not pick up enough, at least not for my liking. But this shaver here is a little different than your typical shaver. It's designed to take a DE blade, either snapped in half or a pre-cut one, and it doesn't twist apart. It just opens, so you can see the posts that are in there, what you're working up against, and it can be a little tough getting that blade loaded in there if you're not used to it. You need to use it for a while and get used to it, and then it's not quite so, I guess you might say, so troublesome. But it is quite a bit of fun to use. At least it is for me. Use 3 different kind of blades in there. Clamp does a pretty good job holding them in there for me. I know I've had this one here. I've had this shaver for a while. I'm wanting to say I got this in 2016, but I can't remember for sure. I've had it for a moment. There's another version of this particular shaver with black scales, and the metal part is gold. Got just a little bit of stinging right there this morning. Looks really nice. Of course, you got to pay a little bit more for that kind of color setup, because the black and the gold, that contrast, looks really nice. But it's the same shaver as this one here. It's not any different. It's just a different color scheme, if you will. So it's going to shave the same. This one here, I've been able to find at the, I think a Modern Man was at $24, right in that price range. Seems like a consistent price that's easy to find. I think, was it Portugal Online? Or Portuguese Online? I can't remember what the name of the website is. It's something like that. Also offers it right around that same price. I think it's maybe $26 last time I looked. It can go for a bit more, depending on what website you go to. But considering it's designed for the DE blades, but you can use the mini hair shaper blades, or you can use a feather artist club style blade like this Kai in there, and it works just fine. It's just whatever blade that works best for you. I guess you might say there's a few other blades that for shavettes that are like for a wick. Yeah, that blade's not going to work in this one. And there's one that works with like a Dovo shavette. It's a long blade. It looks like similar to a DD blade, except for it's really long, and you can snap it in half and use that. Now, I've never done that one. That one is, that's one of those I haven't tried. I'm not too sure about the blades is the reason why. I don't know if those blades will work for me, so I don't know if I want to spend the money for the shaver than the blades to find out they're not going to work for me when I've got plenty here that does work for me. I might spring for it one day, but right now I'm not quite there. Aftershave here. I would not say that these two are a match. My nose is working today, though. I would not say that the coconut and this unlabeled aftershave is a match, but they might play well together. Depends on your nose. I know some noses, I like my wife probably would say automatic no. But I thought it might. I don't really pick up the coconut now, of course, especially after the mentholated witch hazel. But I can smell the aftershave. I can't even begin to describe the aftershave. I'll try to remember to put some notes down below what I can find of the excuse me, of the aftershave. At least put a link to it, to Italian Barber. It does smell good, though. It's a great shave this morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe and healthy, and smooth shaves to you.